Let's come back to our WP hierarchy for just 1 minute and take a look at where we are and where we need to be. So far we've done the index template, and this again is by far the most complicated one. It's going to take care of the archive page, the blog post index, the search results page, but we still need to do templates for our single post page, as well as our regular pages and the 404 page. That's what we're going to tackle in this module. The simplest one of those is going to be our page template. So let's go ahead and start with that one first. Back in Pinegrow, we're going to come over to the project tab. We'll right click on the name and we'll say add new page. I'm going to do a plain index.html file and we'll call this page.html. We'll open up our starter files and copy the contents of page.html from there into our project. And we'll come over to the tree. Since this is going to be a WordPress template, we want to click on the HTML element, come over to our WordPress tab, page settings, and now we want to tell it what this is going to be exported as. We want it to be page.php. So let's just come down here and we can select it right from there, page.php. And you'll see right next to it, it even says general page template. Now, as we talked about, every page template in the WP hierarchy needs to have a site content element on there. So for here, it's going to be this one right inside the body. I come over to my WordPress theme builder panel, site, and use the site content that says get header, get footer. And again, what that means is that anything inside of this is going to be the content of this template. And then above that is going to insert the header, and below that is going to insert the footer partial. And as a matter of fact, we can even see that by making sure that we have the site content element selected, coming over to the site content action, clicking on code view, and we can see that right there, it's going to insert the header. Above that, then we've got all of our content. And then down here, it's going to start the footer. The other thing that we need on every page is going to be a loop. So I'm going to select this element here. We'll open up the post smart actions and use the show posts action. This just needs to have the main loop on it, and we don't need to set anything else. We want to replace this placeholder title with the post title. So we're going to click on the post title smart action. And then below that, we want to have the content. So we just select this div and say post content. And again, because this post content smart action is going to replace this entire div, anything that's in here is just going to be a placeholder. Now let's save this. We'll export the whole theme. And now when we check it out on our test server, we can see that the home page is still set to our archive page. But when I click on the front page link, it opens up the page template. When I go to a blog page, we can see that it opens that up. And then about the tests opens up another page. So this is a great chance for us to come into our dashboard and just make a quick setting change. I'm going to come over here to settings, reading. And I want to say that the home page displays a static page. The home page is going to be our front page. And the post page is going to be a blog page. Save changes. View the site. And now our front page is a static page. And a blog page is the archive page. We can also come over here and click on any of these, our categories. So when I click on the category classics, we can see we've got the archive for my categories. And again, it's changed the title to be category classics. And we can do the same thing for our tags. So that was the easy one. The next template that we create is going to be our post template. So that when we click on any of these posts, it opens up the post instead of our index template. Okay, now we have our index template done. We have a page template done. All we have left to do is our single template and our 404 template. So if you remember correctly, this single template is what maps back to the single post page. And when we look at our demo server, we can see that we've got all these posts here. And when I click on one of them, it still shows our index template. It doesn't show the post information. So let's take care of that. Back in Pinegrow, we'll come back to our project tab. I'll right click on here and do add new page. I'm going to create another plain HTML index, and we're going to call it single.html. And again, we'll come back to our starter files. We'll grab the code from single.html, open the code editor in Pinegrow, paste it in there. Look in our tree view, And now we'll set this up for WordPress. So we'll select the HTML element, page settings, export as. Don't be fooled here. We've got this singular.php, which we could potentially use, but we're actually going to use single.php, which is the general single post template. Let me come back to the hierarchy for just a minute so that you can see the difference there. So if we look at this, we're going to be working on the single template, not the singular template. This singular template could actually feed into both single post, or it could feed into the static page. But since we're splitting this out and we're doing a page.php and a single.php, it kind of makes singular redundant. So rather than doing a page.php, which is at this level, and then having our single post at this level, I'm just keeping them all pretty consistent on the same level of the hierarchy. Just like we did before, we want to add our site content. So again, we select the div that holds everything. We're going to do site content, get header, get footer. We want to put a loop in here, and I'm going to put that right in there. And that's going to be our show posts action. Once again, we don't need to do anything. This is just going to be a standard main loop. We want our title to be the post title. Our posted on publish date. We're going to use the post date smart action for author. We'll click on that link. We'll say post author. I don't need to change anything here because it's going to be the current post author. And I want to show the display name. And I'll edit the content, which will show the display name. And then the link will show the post's link. So this will be the author archive. Next, we have tags. And just like we did in the index template, I'm going to use this to show our tags list. So I'll do post tags and categories. I want to show our tags. I'll use this element as a template, and I want to separate them with a comma, and we'll do a space after that. The other thing that I want to do is make sure that I put a conditional on this whole div, because if the post doesn't have tags, I don't want to show this thing. So we'll just select the div. I'm going to come down to my conditions, and I'll select if has tag, and that's all that I need to do. So now it's just going to say that if this post has a tag, show this stuff. If not, hide it. And we'll do the same thing for categories here, except this one we have to do just a little bit differently. Because remember, any post that doesn't have a category specifically assigned to it is going to get a default category of uncategorized. So here, instead of saying if has category, I do if in category. So I'll select that right here. And I'm going to say that if it is not in the uncategorized category, then show the contents of this div. I'll select my anchor, come back up to the top, post tags and categories, show my category with the delimiter of a comma and a space. We'll do a similar thing for thumbnails. So I'm going to select the div that holds the thumbnail, and I'll use the conditional if has post thumbnail. Don't need to change anything else. And then for the image, come back up to the top, and we'll do post featured image. And now I get to choose the size. If I have a specific size that I want to target, I can select it here. Otherwise, I'm going to choose full. And then we'll come down here to the article. In this article, I want to replace all this lorem ipsum text with the post content. So I come over here to my post content smart action. Don't need to set anything else there. And last but not least, I want to have our sidebar again. So once again, down here, we have this aside element. And inside of that, I'm going to put a reusable template part. So in global smart actions, reusable template part. And there, I'm going to include our sidebar. Let's save this template. We're going to export our theme. And now when I refresh this post, I see the post contents. So I've got my post date, the author, tags, category, my featured image, and the contents of the post. Let's find one that doesn't have a featured image so we can see what that looks like. Hello World doesn't have a featured image. It also doesn't have a set of tags or a category other than default. So we don't see any of those fields in here. We don't see our image in there. And this is part of the reason why I really like to use that theme unit test data. Because if we look here at the categories, we've got all sorts of things that we can start testing. So for example, I clicked on edge case over here, and we've got extremely long titles. We've got posts that have no titles. And this is one that would probably fail the theme unit test because the post has no title, but must still link to the single post view, which it does not. That's definitely something that we'd want to take care of in a real theme. And lots of other cases here, something with a lot of tags. So we can see that list is huge. And depending on your layout, you might need to accommodate something like that. We've got things like embeds that we need to account for, all kinds of stuff. So that was our single post template. The only core template that we have left to do now is our 404 page. And for this one, we're going to get a little bit tricky and we're going to put a search form in place. The last of the core templates that we're going to work on for this project is going to be our 404 page template. And for this one, we're going to do something very simple. We're going to have a title, we're going to have a little bit of text, and then we're going to have a search feature. So let's close this finished project site and we'll get it done. And actually, before we do that, this is the site that we're working on. And if I try to put something bad in, let's see what happens. All we get is something that says, sorry, no posts match your criteria. So we definitely want to put a 404 page in place to take care of that, to at least leave a friendlier message and a way for people to search. All right, inside Pinegrow, let's close some of these pages up. And we'll create a new template for the 404 page. Right click, add new page, plain HTML, and we'll call this one 404.html. And just like we did before, we'll go to our starter theme files, copy the contents from 404, and we'll paste it in here. In the tree view, we'll set this up as a WordPress page by going over to our WordPress actions, page settings, and we're going to export this as 404.php, template for page not found error. We'll select the div right inside the body content, and we'll use the site content action for get header, get footer. This template really doesn't need a loop on it because it's not getting information from the database. And in actuality, we don't need to do anything else here. So let's go ahead and save this. We'll export our theme and take a look at it on the front end. So now when I refresh this bad page, you can see that we've got our 404 page not found, some text in there, and I can search for something. I'm going to search for Lorem, and it pulls up a search result page. Now, one thing you're going to notice on the search results page is that it just has the standard archives title up there. It doesn't say search results for. We're going to fix that in a minute. So everything in here is pretty much what you'd expect. We just have a div with a header, an H1, a paragraph text for that. And now we want to have a form for the search. So we're going to come over to our elements. And this really isn't terribly complicated. You just need to know what to do. So inside that form, I've got a div that holds the label. And this label holds a span for my screen reader text that says search, and it holds the input form. That input form has a name of S with a type of search, and we have the placeholder in there, search ... Next to that label, we have another input element, and this is going to be our search button. So this one is going to be a type of submit, and the value is going to be search. And then back up at the top on the form element, the method is going to be get. And then for the action, we need to have this weird little string that just says PHP echo escape URL home_URL /. The reason for this is because we want to make sure that the action is always going to be a / on the home of the website. So we want to form this so that it always does your home URL with that / s equals term. You would think that you can just put a slash in there, and that would work fine if you were on the home page. But if you were on any other page, you'd end up with like /blog / s equals term. So you want to make sure that you've got this little line in there that tells it to always use your home URL with a slash at the end. So that whatever you do, it's always putting it at the end of this. So once again, I can come in here, type 404. This time, I'm going to search for Ipsum. And you can see that it's the / Ipsum, and we have our search results for Ipsum. The last thing we need to do is to adjust our index template so that we are conditionally showing one thing for our search results and then the default for everything else. So what I really want the search result title to say is search result for : and then the search result query. So to do that, we're going to come back to the project tab. We'll open up our index template, and then we'll look in the tree view again. I'll select our title, and we've got the H1 inside of a header element. And I want to put a conditional on this header. The conditional that I'm going to use is if is search, which sometimes it's kind of hard to find because there's so many of these. So instead, I'm just going to use the search here. And there it is, if is search. And I want to show this if this is not on a search page. So I'll say not. So now when I save this and view it and try doing a search, I don't get any title. So I'm going to duplicate this. And this time I'm going to change the conditional to say, I do want this to show up on a search result page. And in here, we're going to remove our code function from that. And I'm going to create 2 spans underneath this H1. So this H1 is actually going to hold something that says search results for search terms, and I'll get rid of the text that was in the body of the H1. So this span I want to always show. This next span is what I want to replace with the search query HTML. We're going to replace the content of the HTML. Let's save that. And now when I refresh our search, we get a title that says search result for colon our search query term. And we've got a conditional title. So if you peeked at our project files, you probably know that there's still a lot coming up. This covers all of the core template files that we need, but I'm going to show you a few more things. In the following modules, we're going to create a custom post type. So we'll register the post type and we'll register a taxonomy for it. We'll also create a custom block that shows the information that's inside of that custom post type. I'll show you some snippets that let you do things like putting a short code into your template or embedding media. And I'll show you how we can host Google Files locally on your server.